Time to get into another Canuxsploitation-A-Thon, but before we do, I just want to say thanks once again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. That's right, Squarespace, the best way to make your own website, whether you're trying to launch a new business, market yourself, or just show off what you're into. If you've ever wanted to design your own website but don't know where to start, not to worry, because Squarespace makes things so easy, even a guy like me can do it. They offer dozens of award-winning templates you can customize so that your website looks exactly right for you. The easy-to-use interface allows you to drag and drop assets anywhere you want, and with the awesome new Fluid engine, they've made it so that you can design a great-looking website without any coding knowledge. Best of all, everything can be done completely inside your web browser, so you never have to worry about downloading and installing any software or patches. So, if you're interested in joining the thousands of other people who've used Squarespace to make their dreams a reality, just go to squarespace.com/BrandonTenold and sign up for your free trial. Then, when your site's looking good and ready for launch, use the promo code BrandonTenold for 10% off your first purchase. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, time once again to talk about some weird movies made by America's Hat. It's been about 4 years since I did one of these, so to ease everybody in, I thought I'd start with something simple. A movie about a giant killer brain monster. The Brain is a 1988 horror flick that, at first glance, almost seems like an 80s remake of a 50s sci-fi movie like The Fly or The Blob, but nope. Instead, it's more of a loving tribute to schlocky 50s monster flicks like Night of the Creeps, The Stuff, or Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Now, this one isn't as popular or beloved as those other movies, but it does have a small cult following. And I started off my other Canuxsploitation-A-Thons with movies about a giant bug, giant rats, and a giant snake. So sure, let's start this one off with a movie about a giant brain. Ooh, directed by Edward Hunt, huh? Oh, I'm familiar with his brother Michael. While The Brain may sound like the title of a 50s sci-fi flick, unlike a 50s movie, this one doesn't wait until after the halfway point to show you the monster. Before we get to that, though, we open on a TV talk show called Independent Thinking, hosted by a psychologist named Dr. Blake.
Oh, what a wonderful audience! What enthusiasm!
Yeah, hurry it up, pal. Mr. Dressup's filming here in an hour. Dr. Blake is played by David Gale of Reanimator and Guyver fame, so you just know he's gotta be trustworthy.
Today's young people lack confidence. Drug abuse, alcoholism, teenage suicide have all taken an horrendous toll.
Some things never change. Dr. Blake's right to be concerned about teen drug abuse. This girl has a bowl full of cocaine in her room. And I think she's tripping balls right now, too. I gotta give this movie credit, it doesn't waste time getting off to a pretty wild start. We got teddy bears bleeding out of their eyes, monster hands coming out of the TV, the walls moving closer together, giant tentacles that bleed honey mustard. This whole opening could almost be a lost dream sequence from a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. All it's missing is Robert Englund saying some one-liners. And it turns out what this mom really needed to be concerned about was her daughter hallucinating a giant tentacle and stabbing her to death with a pair of scissors. And as for you, prepare to be brain dead, bitch. Looks like some little girl won't be getting that Conair Clear phone they wanted for Christmas. She's as dead as a lump of coal. And it's bad enough she's dead. Did you also have to zoom in on her boogers? Well, that was a pretty crazy opening. Where do we go from here? Ah, yes, of course. The suburbs. Somewhere in this neighborhood, Steven Dorff is trying to open a portal to hell in his backyard. And wait a second, this can't be Canada. There's Christmas decorations, but no snow on the ground. Is this gonna be one of those Canuxsploitation flicks that pretends it takes place in America? Let's see, Meadowvale. Okay, well apparently Meadowvale is a suburb of Mississauga, Ontario, so maybe this does take place in Canada. One thing's for sure, this school is giving me some serious Degrassi vibes. The 80s. A time when the only thing more over the top than a killer brain monster were the righteous mullets. Our lead character seems to be a bit of a prankster since he blows up a toilet using a block of pure sodium. Yeah, who needs a cherry bomb when you can cause hijinks using the periodic table? And if you were still wondering just where this takes place...
So you think you're in America, do you?
Last time I checked.
Well, you're not. You're in high school.
Okay, so... is this supposed to be America? That just confused me even more.
So you think you're in America, do you?
Last time I checked.
I thought this was America! Huh? Isn't this America? I'm sorry, I thought this was America!
Oh, wait, this must be America. See, look, American flag. Anyway, our main character is Jim Magilewski, who is apparently supposed to be smart.
Mr. and Mrs. Magilewski, it is true that James has one of the highest IQs in our high school.
Oh yeah? Well then how come he still hasn't graduated yet? He's in his 20s. Because of his troublemaking, the school threatens to suspend Jim unless he agrees to see Dr. Blake at a place called the Psychological Research Institute.
I don't need to go to this guy, Blake. Everyone knows he's a flake. You can't make me.
Jim, Dr. Blake wouldn't be on TV if he wasn't good.
Yeah, just look at Dr. Phil. You know, maybe Jim should go see Dr. Blake. He's a grown man who still acts like Bart Simpson. He also can't seem to catch a break anywhere else either. Not only does his girlfriend Janet refuse to put out until college, which again, he should already have been in for a few years, but this cop also stands way too close to the camera.
Evening, Officer Marks.
All right, Magilewski, come on, let's move it. It's past curfew.
You know the rules. No overage sex in whatever country this is supposed to be. The next day, Jim goes to the Psychological Institute wearing his finest Canadian tuxedo. And with all the festive decorations, I might as well do this. Hashtag The Brain is a Christmas Movie. While there, he meets Dr. Blake's assistant, played by the voice of Beast from X-Men. No, seriously, that's the voice of Beast from the 90s X-Men cartoon. Forget him, though. Dr. Blake's other assistant is a lot more attractive. And apparently Jim agrees with me since he stares at her ass on the way out. Yeah, I don't think you need to monitor his brainwaves to know what he was thinking there.
Dr. Blake.
Hi. I've seen you on TV.
We have HBO. They play Reanimator on there a lot. You know, despite the evil brain monster trying to control his thoughts, this experiment doesn't seem so bad. Apparently Dr. Blake's TV also gets HBO.
What do you see now?
Well, there's two of them.
2 apples?
No, they're not apples.
No, they're more like cherries. Hey, ever wanted to see a Skinamax remake of A Clockwork Orange? Well, here you go. And I really hate it when a weird brain monster messes with my boner too.
You can go now.
What the hell happened to me? I'm not some kind of guinea pig, you know. You're supposed to be helping me.
Okay, look, Jim, you blew up a toilet at your school, and so far your punishment is you got to see some tits. You want to can the shitty attitude for a second? And I'll tell you who else needs an attitude adjustment. Topless Apple Lady.
It's apparent you and I will no longer be able to work together.
Fine with me. But wait till I tell people what's really going on around here.
Well, I see nothing bad happening to her. Yeah, talk about brain food.
That's food for thought.
Yeah, sure, that works too. And it turns out this thing's more than just a brain, it's a fiend with a face. Well, there's only one way to follow up a scene like that. Hashtag The Brain is a Christmas Movie. And hey, nothing says the reason for the season quite like driving into oncoming traffic while tentacles come out of your steering wheel, and a giant brain monster triangle wipes its way at you. I'm sure he's fine. No, seriously, he's fine. He even walks away from an explosion like it's no big deal. Oh man, what a rough day. I gotta get myself some ketchup-flavored chips and hickory sticks. Jim goes to tell Janet what happened, and once again, hashtag The Brain is a Christmas Movie.
I went to that PRI place and they did all this weird shit to me. They did all this stuff. Apples and baseballs.
And boobs. I didn't look that long though, I swear. Unfortunately for Jim, he's still hallucinating tentacles, but at least the movie shows what this looks like to everybody else. Alright, Jim, you know the rules. No hentai daydreams after 5 p.m. You're going back to see Dr. Blake.
You can't just take him away.
Yes, we can. We have a release form signed by his parents.
That's a receipt for the onion rings you just ordered. Damn, Jim's stuck back at the Psychological Institute, and this time he doesn't have any boobs to look at. How the hell's he gonna get out of here?
Let me sneak in. You could sneak out. They'll think I'm you. They'll never find me in here.
Now, if you're wondering who this guy is and why he's so eager to help Jim escape, I don't know. We don't see him again after this. And Jim could have just waited since his friends also come to try and bust him out. But first, he's got to take another look at the brain.
Its increased size, the brain waves we're sending out can be even stronger.
I actually really like the design of this thing. It reminds me of a giant version of those Madball toys from the 80s. Speaking of 80s, while running around the Institute, Jim gets chased into a boiler room. Because come on, it's an 80s horror flick. They had to include a boiler room at some point. And wait a second, I keep seeing signs around here for sodium. I wonder if that'll be important later. Oh good, Jim found his friends. Now they can finally leave.
Oh shit.
Okay, once again, regarding the design of this thing, I like how it stands on its spinal cord. How does it move? Does it slither around like a snake, or does it hop around like a pogo stick? There's a giant brain monster that I think might be from outer space or something. They never really explain where it came from. Before Jim and Janet are able to get too far, they're pulled over by... oh, this guy again? I swear, it's like he's the only cop in this entire town. Okay, not anymore. Luckily for Jim, this guy forgot he had a gun on him earlier.
Magulewski killed him! Chopped his head off!
Also, I took his axe from him, which is why I'm holding it. It totally wasn't me, okay? As far as the plot goes, Dr. Blake is using the brain to control people's thoughts through his TV show. I think so he can beat Phil Donahue in the ratings? I don't know, the details don't really matter. One thing's for sure, Dr. Blake has the most harmful program this side of Videodrome, and he really doesn't like it when people don't watch his show.
How many times have you asked your husband to watch this show? And he has refused.
Ah, come on. He already watches Grey's Anatomy with her. Isn't that enough? Okay, apparently it isn't. The Mississauga Chainsaw Massacre. Well, one of Jim's teachers just got murdered, so I guess that means he won't mind if him and Janet hide out at the school. Alright, after we get these cuffs off, you want to play some basketball in the gym or something? Okay, that works too. Unfortunately for Jim, apparently this actress had a no nudity clause. Well, for this movie at least, she's been naked in other stuff. It doesn't matter though, Jim was thinking about Apple Girl anyway. Even more bad news, Janet watches Dr. Blake's show and ends up ratting him out to the cops.
Janet, stop it.
Stay away from me.
Hey, come on babe, I wasn't that bad, was I? Oh man, all this because I blew up a toilet. Mom and Dad are right, I do need to get my shit together. Jim steals a car, leading to a medium-speed chase sequence that goes on for so long they end up driving into winter. Eventually Jim's able to trick the cops into thinking he's dead by pushing the car off a cliff, although I'm not sure why they think that would kill him since he was able to walk away from this no problem. In any case, Jim better put a stop to Dr. Blake's latest broadcast before he turns everyone into the kind of mindless zombies that made Toddlers and Tiaras a hit.
In a few minutes, 10, 20 million people are going to see our show. And then you can transmit your brain waves into them.
Then our plan will be complete. Whatever it is. World domination, I guess? Well, that does it. Jim is gonna stop Dr. Blake, and nothing is going to distract him from his mission. Well, okay, almost nothing.
Vivian.
Oh hey, boob girl, glad to see you're back. I think I had sex with my girlfriend earlier, but I didn't really see anything.
You have a dirty mind.
Ah, come on, I'm just having fun.
You can't possibly win. You can't even control your own mind.
Yeah, I can. I can totally make your boobs go away. I am gonna save them in my spank bank for when this is over, though. I gotta admit, the last part of this movie has a little too much of Jim running around the same locations again. I guess they needed to get this movie to 90 minutes any way they could. Quick, Jim, run down the stairs. Okay, now go back up and we still need to fill more time. I am curious what the hell's going on here, though. Is the brain keeping Janet in Jeffrey Dahmer's meat locker? It's a good thing Jim's there to save her. Okay, so she's definitely fucked. And to make matters worse, Dr. Blake is about to go live with his show.
We all deserve to celebrate tonight. For tonight is our first broadcast nationwide.
And I'm not gonna say what nation that is, but if you squint really hard, it might be America. You don't know. I already mentioned Videodrome, but this climax where Jim confronts Dr. Blake in the middle of his broadcast does kind of remind me of James Woods going on stage and killing that guy at the end. But instead of shooting him, he just does this. Decapitation! Alright, nice of David Gale to do an impression of his character from Reanimator. So, was Dr. Blake an alien, or was he a creation of the brain and not the other way around? You know what? It doesn't really matter. I'm watching a movie called The Brain. I don't need a logical explanation here.
He's the one who was responsible for all those murders. I never killed anyone. I'm just a high school student.
Okay, you're lying about at least one of those things, pal. Alright, now that Dr. Blake's dead, time for Jim to free his girlfriend and get the hell out of here. Looks like they're home free. Oh, right, the brain, I forgot. I do like how this thing keeps getting bigger and bigger the more people it eats. And if you're wondering how it's able to get around so fast, it helps that it's got a team of people pushing it. Also, I keep seeing signs for sodium in this place. I wonder if that's gonna be important. Well, you know the first rule of filmmaking, if you introduce some sodium in the first act, you damn well better use it in the third. Okay, I think this is the first monster on the show to ever be killed by high blood pressure. Alright, not only did Jim's little prank earlier help him save the world from the brain, but he's also getting accepted by some Ivy League schools.
Looks like Princeton wants you too, Jim.
Really?
Too bad Mr. Woods can't see this.
Yeah, it is too bad.
Haha, he was brutally murdered by his wife. What an asshole. And even though the movie's almost over, might as well do this one more time. Hashtag The Brain is a Christmas movie. Well, looks like everything worked out fine, but this is an 80s monster flick, so I'm waiting for it to sequel bait. Okay, so I guess the brain is still alive? Doesn't really matter anyway, there's no sequel. Which is weird, considering even Rock and Roll Nightmare got one eventually. You might expect a movie called The Brain to fit into the so bad it's good category, like an 80s version of an old Ed Wood flick like Plan 9 from Outer Space, but don't let the intentionally schlocky title and plot fool you. This is a movie that knows exactly what it is and just decides to have fun with its wacky premise, instead of worrying about things like making perfect logical sense. Like I said, the movie's something of a tribute to 50s monster movies, but instead of being an out-and-out parody that's constantly winking at the audience, instead it takes a ridiculous idea that you might see in a 50s flick and adds in some 80s-style monster effects and boobs. Maybe because it's Canadian, I can also detect a hint of Cronenberg here too. If he directed a remake of The Brain from Planet Arris instead of The Fly, it might have turned out a little similar to this. While the brain effects are fun, the chase sequences of Jim running around do get a little repetitive by the end. This movie probably would have been better if it was 80 minutes instead of 90. Also, while David Gale is entertaining as usual, the two young leads aren't really that memorable, but they're fine enough that they don't ruin the movie. Besides, where else are you gonna see the voice of Beast from X-Men chop a guy's head off with a fire axe? Well, that's all for now, but I still got 3 more Canuxsploitation movies to go. Until next time.
We have to, Willie.
What do you mean we have to?
I don't know.